Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Infotep. I'm glad you made it. Automatically eligible for this benefit. And this is going to be starting March 5th. March 5th. That's around the corner and about time. I am super happy that this is coming to fruition, and I wanted to share it with you right here. So please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. The two asks are really, look, hit the thumbs up, let the video run. Those two things alone tell YouTube that this video is worth watching and that there's valuable information, and then YouTube starts to push it out further and further in front of more eyes. So jumping into the subject at hand, when you look at VA benefits, I argue that the two most powerful are VA compensation, right? Because you get a monthly benefit, especially if you move up into the higher percentages, right? So that's a powerful benefit. And practically as powerful is the VA healthcare that we can get. So through the Healthcare Administration. Now, I get it. Some areas are horrible, others are not. Let's just pretend that it's the same as anywhere for a minute, just for the sake of this argument. Health insurance and getting health care can be very expensive. So if you have access to free or extremely low cost, if you have a very low rating, you know, maybe you're paying for prescriptions or whatever, is a great benefit that could, you know, I mean, otherwise it would cost you thousands of dollars a year, right? I mean, the last time I priced out insurance was a while ago. It was probably 10 years ago or so, and I was looking to price out health insurance, and it was going as just me, I didn't have an employer. It was me, essentially self-employed, and looking to purchase health insurance. And it was for the family, for me, the wife and child, it was, I can't remember, $1,200 a month or something, more than that probably. I can't even remember. It was a lot. So, you know, I could just imagine, you know, in today's world, let's say that it's more than that. And then now all of a sudden you're going, oh, well, I don't have 24 grand to be spending on that, plus any sort of co-pays and deductibles and all that stuff. So all that to say is that healthcare is an extremely important benefit. The VHA, the Veteran Healthcare Administration, is opening up eligibility to another set of veterans. Now, for those that don't know, in order to get enrolled into the VA healthcare system, there is a form, of course, and that form is the VA Form 10-10, the 1010. Now, the 1010 says basically, hey, look, you have different avenues in which you can get in the door here for VA healthcare. And one is you can be poor. If you are poor and you make less than a designated amount, then you can come here for your healthcare. However, if you make too much money, sorry. But there is a list here where we'll still let you come in and get health care. And I don't know how many bullets are here. It looks like about maybe 10. So 10 bullet points on other avenues in which you can just go directly for VHA healthcare. One is, and it's not in any specific order, these are just the bullet points in the way they're written. So if you are a former prisoner of war, for those who are in receipt of a Purple Heart, a recently discharged combat veteran, or those discharged for a disability incurred or aggravated in the line of duty, or those receiving VA service connection disability compensation, or those receiving VA pension, or those in receipt of medical benefits or Medicaid benefits, or those who served in an Agent Orange exposure location, or those who served in Southwest Asia during the Gulf War between August 2nd, 1990 and November 11th, 1998, or those who served at least 30 days at Camp Lejeune between August 1st, 1953 and December 31st, 1987. Okay, that's great. So the new one is really this Agent Orange exposure location. Now, on this press release from the U.S. Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, there is a little snippet here. I'm going to read this, then I'll read the whole thing. So the snippet is VA, Veterans Affairs, today announced that all veterans who were exposed to toxins and other hazards while serving in the military will be eligible to enroll directly in VA healthcare without first applying for VA benefits beginning March 5th. Outstanding. So the biggest doorway, just to put it in perspective, for veterans receiving VA healthcare is by way of service connection. I go to VA benefits, file my claim, I get blessed off that I have service connections, and now I'm receiving my disability check, and then I'm basically told, or I figure out, that I can go to VA healthcare and then get enrolled with my local medical center or clinic or what have you. So now that doorway has now another doorway in, which is for anyone who has exposures, right? So that is outstanding. So I want to go through this and share with you the information here, and then I want to double tap on another piece here in a second. So actually, I'll do that first. So remember, there's also a rule that's been proposed by the VA to expand the Agent Orange areas, right? To include areas where it was stored, used, and tested, like in the US, right? So that's going to open up that doorway a lot for healthcare if that rule goes through as well. So it doesn't mean you need to have a service connection. It just means you need to have been exposed, and then now you can get healthcare for free. So let's jump into this, or at a very low cost anyway. So let's jump into this, read it, see what we got to pick out of it, and go from there. So again, on the Form 1010, those new ones that are added are the Agent Orange exposure locations and those that were in the Gulf War, Southwest Asia during the Gulf War between August 2nd, 1990 and November 11th, 1998, and then those at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987. So if the new rule goes into effect, I would venture to say that they're going to add those exposure locations as well in their current list, because they do have specifically those who served in an Agent Orange exposure location, period. They're not calling out specific areas, so it's just an internal kind of look. All right, so now to the press release. Millions of toxic exposed veterans eligible for expanded VA healthcare thanks to Tester's PACT Act. Of course, Tester's not the only one who had anything to do with the PACT Act. There was a lot of folks. But because he is the chair of the Veterans Committee and the one who is in control of the majority news on here, you're going to see his name all the time. So that's why it constantly changes, right? Every time that there's a new chairman, there is a new name associated with everything. So following Tester's efforts, VA announced today it will expand healthcare eligibility to any veteran exposed to toxins or other hazards serving in the military. This just came out February 26th of 2024. Following years-long effort by years-long efforts by Senate Veterans Affairs Committee Chairman John Tester to expand toxic exposed veterans' access to health care, the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, today announced that all veterans who were exposed to toxins and other hazards while serving in the military, I argue to say that's probably all of us, right? If you lump in all toxics and hazards, I mean, jet fuel is toxic, right? I'm sure that we've all... I feel like my barracks were toxic. Anyway, so moving on. while serving in the military will be eligible to enroll directly in VA healthcare without first applying for VA benefits beginning March 5th. VA's move to expand healthcare for toxic exposed veterans follows Testers Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson honoring our promise to address Comprehensive Toxics Act, the PACT Act, which extended VA healthcare eligibility for veterans exposed to toxins during their military service. Today's announcement marks a rapid expansion in healthcare for any veterans exposed to toxins during their service. Generations of veterans answered the call to serve and came home changed, and it is our duty to ensure they have healthcare that meets their needs, Tester said. I'm glad to see VA announcing they will honor this nation's promise by expanding healthcare eligibility for toxic exposed veterans immediately rather than waiting for a years-long phase-in. This is exactly why we fought to pass the PACT Act to expand healthcare access for millions of veterans without the red tape that has turned too many folks away in the past. And I agree. If it's too hard to even get through the door, like we'll try once, maybe. Right? If we're lucky enough to go try once, but then we get the door slammed in our face, oftentimes we just go, screw it then. I really don't need it. And you move on. So I'm a big fan of lowering the barriers for connection into the VA system. All right, so VA announced means that veterans who served in the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, Iraq, Afghanistan, the global war on terror, or any other combat zone after 9/11 will be eligible to enroll directly in VA healthcare. Veterans who never deployed but were exposed to toxins or hazards while training or on active duty in the U.S. will also be eligible to enroll. VA's decision to expand healthcare eligibility will allow millions of veterans to become eligible for VA healthcare up to 8 years earlier than originally intended. I'll throw out there, remember the numbers are shaky, but 18 million veterans in the U.S., maybe 6 million are actually utilizing the VA for compensation at some level. So there's a lot of vets that are not service connected that could potentially benefit from this. Tester championed the PACT Act and shepherded its passage through Congress in 2022. As chairman, he fought tirelessly for years alongside veterans and veteran service organizations in Montana and across the nation to deliver generations of toxic exposed veterans and survivors their earned health care and benefits under the PACT Act. Named after Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson, who died in 2020 from toxic exposure as a result of his military service. This law provides health care for post-9/11 combat veterans, creates a framework for the establishment of future presumptives of service connection related to toxic exposure, expands VA's list of health conditions presumed to be caused by toxic exposures, which opens the door to additional benefits for veterans and improves resources to support claims processing. Since the PACT Act was signed into law in 2022, more than 112,000 veterans have enrolled in VA healthcare under the PACT Act Enrollment Authority. VA has also received more than $1.4 million, $1.4 million PACT Act related claims, and more than 694,000 veterans and survivors are receiving PACT Act related benefits. So with that concludes it. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.